Welcome to Live on Tape. I'm Julie and this is Andy, and here are this week's top-ish stories.
The Chicago Cubs won their first World Series in 108 years. Many things have happened in that time. Since then, there have been 2 world wars. The Titanic was built, sailed, sank to the bottom of the ocean, and discovered decades later. The NFL, NHL, and NBA were all founded. The state of Arizona was founded, got a baseball team, and won the World Series. However, I still have not managed to get laid.
Recent scientific evidence shows that dogs dream about their owners while they're sleeping. Too bad my dog won't wake up.
On Thursday, Uber released a 96-page document detailing their plans to build a flying car. This was met with mixed reviews, but any Uber that will find me better where I've dropped my pin is something I can surely get behind.
The market for human hair sold through the internet is on the rise, allowing any individual on the planet to sell their combed waste from home. This is, of course, pretty weird, and who would actually do that?
Thank you.
Okay. It's rough being in college.
We've lost the mic. It's fine. A message in a bottle was found in Turks and Caicos and delivered to a woman in New Hampshire that was addressed to 50 years ago. Meanwhile, my message to Jessica on Tinder won't deliver from here to 1 mile away.
Donald Trump this week continued his usual tirade against Hillary Clinton by once again claiming that the election will be stolen and is rigged, to which Ryan Lochte said, "With all this, I was robbed, horseshit."
One Trump supporter sparked criticism for hanging a Hillary Clinton mannequin at a rally. Hillary issued a personal statement saying she'd love to meet and sort this all out if the Trump supporter would only give her his and his loved ones' names and addresses.
Twitter is set to close the video sharing application Vine. The app, known for short, ridiculous clips that are difficult to believe are real, had been outcompeted by Donald Trump's Twitter feed and debate performances.
And that's the best news we could find this week. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hi, welcome back to Live on Tape. We're sitting here with Sydney from the Collegian, the political reporter. So, Sydney, when did you start writing for the Collegian?
I started writing back in the summer. Whenever I came for the summer semester, it's called a candidate class. We started writing. We just started off with little tasks. Mm-hmm. We don't actually become a full-time writer for the Collegian until the semester afterward if we fulfill all the requirements. So I fulfilled all the requirements in the summer, and then in the fall I became a staff member and I became a political reporter.
How do you like being a political reporter now of all times?
It's really interesting because I thought...
Interesting word choice.
Yeah, it's really interesting because you learn so much about the political world. Going into it, I had an interest in it, but I didn't know that much about it. So I've certainly learned a lot about politics and how the system is run. But then again, I'm also hear about the election 24/7. It's on my mind almost all the time. Sometimes I can get a little bit frustrating, especially when the candidates make some weird comments and stuff. But otherwise, it's really is interesting.
That's something I wanted to talk to you about in an age where journalistic integrity is the rules are a little bit more loose now. How important is it to you to stay neutral?
It is very important to stay neutral. We try to not talk about our views at all, and if anybody asks about them, we just say we're indifferent or that we haven't decided or anything. And it's not even just what we say. We have to watch what we say on social media, even what we say to other people, even to our friends, because sometimes friends have connections to other political groups. And that can be a huge issue when it comes to being unbiased. Someone can say, "Oh, but this political reporter said something." We have to really watch what we say at all times, not just like when we're in the office or when we're out covering an event.
I noticed that you use the word unbiased at least twice there, and I think that's a big problem right now. There's a lack of trust in where people get their sources. I always thought that education might be fixing education, might lead to fixing a lot of other problems, but maybe that's where we need to start, trust where we get our sources.
Yeah, definitely. I've done a couple series through the Collegian of trying to show our readers what what our stances or what the stances of each political party. And right now I'm working on the candidates. But it's really hard to try and find sources, not only online, but even talking to people in person. Like maybe I want to reach out to somebody in the Hillary groups, but I can't really talk to them about when I talk about them in the education articles, because then it's hard to say, and then it looks like I'm only talking about the
other side.
Yeah, so then we're only talking about the other side. So we have to try and get both sides in on every article and everything that we write. And sometimes it's very difficult to do that.
What's your strategy for doing that when sometimes one side of the argument remains fact-free? With this distrust of sources, one candidate in particular has been saying a lot of things that I think are invented out of thin air, don't really have a good base, but they get printed, and I guess I have to rephrase my question. How do you combat that?
How do we combat that? So we try to basically our fact-checking way is trying to get at least 3 sources for every article, and then if we mention a name or any proper noun, we have to have 2 fact checks to back that up, whether it be online or from a previous interview that we had done, to try and make sure that we keep all the facts straight. And sometimes that's very difficult. And then sometimes if we have an issue with something, we just pull it out of the article in general. That's kind of our way to combat it. Either we mention it and we do a lot of research to make sure that it's correct, or we just don't publish it at all.
Was biased cable news always leading to this spearhead moment, or was this alt-right movement always going to happen?
I think it's always going to happen at some point. You know, we've seen this in past campaigns before. It happened in the Mitt Romney campaign 4 years back, and in the Obama campaign whenever he first started. There's always going to be somebody saying that the media is corrupt. Well, Trump's been strong in using the word corrupt, but that there's something wrong with the media and their coverage of politics. There's always going to be somebody there. It's just this time Trump's been a little bit more boisterous about it, and that's why it seems like it's been such a big issue this time.
Do you think the criticism of modern media, or do you think race relations is why Donald ran now? I mean, why Donald and why now? Why has he worked?
Well, Donald's run in the past. He ran back in 2000 for the Reform Party, and he dropped out of it after he did pretty poorly in the California primary. And he had announced that he was going to run again in 2012 against President Obama, but after his whole comments about where Obama was born, you know, bringing that into question, that basically kind of ruined his political reputation at that point. So this time, you know, and it's hard, as a lot of political scientists wonder, why is it hitting it now? Like, why is he succeeding now after that? He's for some reason, this campaign, this is his 3rd attempt to trying to get on the ballot. He's been successful in getting his supporters to back him up and not having to drop out whenever he makes ridiculous comments at any point.
Well, these farther right than center candidates were the ones that almost got the chance to go up against her, even aside from Mr. Trump. Do you think that's because there's a bit of an ebb and flow when progressives have victories a few years in a row, when they have a president in office, when they get things passed, that it always has to balance out? Or do you think that it doesn't work like that, and that what's happening now will have a lasting effect?
I think it depends on which generation we're in. If we were looking at 30 years back at Generation X, when it was a lot of Republicans in office, it just depends. It's the changing times. I think especially technology has changed us a lot through social media.
I agree.
And television, a lot more information is getting out. It's getting out a lot quicker.
Everything is cyclical but technology.
Yeah, definitely. And and everything affects everything. Technology affects economy, affects foreign policy. It affects everything. So I think that in turn changes how we see from generation to generation. Because we could say a lot of people think that millennials are all liberals and Gen X is all Republicans, and you know it's a hard balance to try and find. But I think the results of this election will see the real answer to that question, because everything's just up for grabs right now until November 8th comes and America makes its decision.
I think this is a lot affected by how policy gets talked about. Excuse me. because a lot of things that are tweeted, for example, or even a lot gets talked about them and how we trust them and what we think of them as people and almost their personality, that sometimes it gets lost in the soup, some things that really need to be discussed about who believes in what and what we should be electing. What issue do you wish would have gotten more coverage?
That's a good
At the debates or otherwise?
Yeah, that's a good question. I personally think the debates got a little bit too much coverage, just because in the debates it was mostly about Clinton and Trump attacking each other personally, and not so much foreign policy. I don't think it's so much an event or a certain thing that happened at once or that didn't get covered at once. I think that just policy in general needs to be covered. You know, I see all the time on CNN or NBC saying like, oh, Trump made this attack to Clinton today, or Clinton made this attack to Trump today, about their personalities. And I think we need to focus less on the personalities of the candidates and more about the policies that they're supporting.
I agree. And you guys got to meet, or almost got to meet, some of the candidates, right? Jill Stein has come this semester, and Tim Kaine recently. Did either you or Andy, our producer who also works at the Collegian, get to talk to either of them?
We didn't get to talk to them personally. And actually, even before Jill Stein got in there, Chelsea Clinton, the daughter of Bill and Hillary Clinton, were here too. So I got to cover when Chelsea Clinton came to town, and Andy actually got to talk to her on the phone.
I heard.
Yeah,
we're very proud of him.
A few weeks back, and that was an amazing opportunity. But yeah, we got to cover that. Jill Stein, I don't remember. I think it was Andy who covered Jill Stein. And then we both Andy and I got to cover Tim Kaine this weekend, and those were definitely amazing opportunities for us. You know, just even though we didn't get to talk to them personally, just being in the presence of possibly a future president or vice president.
It's a historic election.
Yeah, and it's certainly
nearly a fallacy. Every election is, but this one in particular, I think people are gonna.
Yeah, I think
remember.
this one we'll be talking about to our grandkids and stuff. And I know those will.
Where were you during the war?
yeah, but those are definitely memories that Andy and I will be passing on to our kids. Definitely what we'll be talking about for a long time.
That's cool. Last question. Dream job.
Dream job.
The Collegian's setting you up nicely. You guys take it very seriously and it yields pretty big results. Where do you want to work?
That's a really interesting question, because I've actually switched back and forth. I actually came into Penn State as a meteorology major, and I just started working as a Collegian because I didn't have a school newspaper back in my high school, but I wanted to write really bad. And the more that I've been there, the more that I've been interested in journalism. And I switched to political science as a major at the end of the summer, but I might switch to journalism now and possibly do something either in broadcast or in print. I'm not exactly sure yet, but.
Come join us. Come work for Live on Tape.
Definitely.
We'll put you to work.
Definitely. I love you guys here. It's
Thank
awesome.
You. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
And we'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. In lieu of our typical studio interview, we've managed to secure Vladimir Putin's publicist live on Skype. Welcome, Raskolnikov. Pleasure to have you with us today. How are you? How's Russia?
Здравствуйте. Здесь 21 градус, Брэндон, и оба дождь и гром. Я никогда не видел все свое туловище, потому что мне надо одежду одевать, а то я себе яйца отморожу.
Not at all what I asked, but all right. So what do you think about the U.S. election?
Ха 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 ха.
Do you have a preferred candidate in the race?
Мой компьютерчик в мозге говорит, что мы поддерживаем царь Дональд Трампа.
Computer chip? I'm sorry?
Путин, в моем мозге, Владимир Путин, мне говорит поддерживать Дональд Трампа.
True, yes. Putin has called Trump yakety, which is slang that means lively, but has been misinterpreted through translations and really exaggerated to mean bright, brilliant, etc. What exactly did Mr. Putin mean by the statement?
Якети? Умный? No. You Americans всегда не все правильно переводите. Что Владимир Путин сказал, это что он ек. Дональд Трамп ек.
Which means,
Хорошо. Америка нужно, он ек в Белом доме.
is Mr. Putin not concerned with the comments Mr. Trump made about sexually assaulting women?
Чего это должно волновать наш великого Владимира Путина? Наш лидер не имеет пуси.
Yes, but does this not seem disrespectful to women?
Владимир Путин имеет огромный респект для женщин. Он только недавно сказал, что женщины это как две козы.
That's awful.
Ну да, мне жена столько стоит сейчас.
Well, it's really awful how you treat people there. The legislation is really backwards.
Ха-ха-ха-ха. Вы должны видеть, что они делают голубым.
Okay, moving on. Mr. Trump is claiming that the U.S. election may be rigged. Does Mr. Putin agree?
А что это такое rigged элекция?
Why is the shirt on? It's an election where the decision is decided before the actual election. Is that what you're saying?
Ну, это же просто нормальная элекция.
Well, I remember that there was a controversy surrounding Russia's last election. Mr. Putin won an unprecedented landslide, and his opponent ended up dead.
Да, великий Владимир Путин выиграл 103% голосов.
No, that's not even mathematically possible.
Вы не понимаете, любовь русского народа для Владимира Путина, оно никакие правила математики не слушает.
Oh, do you know Mr. Putin personally?
Ну да, великий Владимир Путин и я, мы очень близкие друзья. Это значит, что если я в него или в свою Motherland не верю, то меня только убьют чуть-чуть и очень быстренько.
That's really all the time we have for today. Thank you.
Ну хорошо, мой продюсер мне говорит, что я сильно много информации рассказал, и я должен сказать мой final goodbye.
For me? Or
До свидания.
I'm sorry?